Hey, welcome to my apartment. It's the Guinea DJ Self, and as always, my nosy neighbor is always in the building. Today, I think my guest is like far in between, and when I say that, when I first started bringing people into my apartment, I've only had one session with DJs, and that was with Mr. C and DJ Nori. Rest in peace, DJ Mr. C. And and Superstar J. And I always said that I want to always have DJs come in to my apartment.
Word.
Today you are also an author.
Crazy.
Rob Swift.
Yes, sir. Rob, let's go.
Rob, now, Rob, we have never really
What up, man? By the way, what up?
We've never really
what up, B?
intertwined too much throughout the years.
Nah, not really.
We have not, right? And I think that me and you are like different type of DJs. You are more like a technical type DJ, correct? Would you say?
That's fair to say.
Right?
Yeah.
And I always tell people there's like, and I may be getting around like 5 different type of DJs. Like it's a radio DJ, a club DJ, a technical DJ. What's the other 2? What would you say?
Mixtape DJ.
Mixtape, yes, mixtape DJ.
Now with technology, you have TikTok DJs.
Okay, yeah.
That's a thing now?
That's a thing.
Yes, there's the TikTok DJs. Yes, there are plenty. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, but okay.
Before we get into this book that you, I want to have DJ talk, right? What have you seen that you dislike about the evolvement of DJs?
I'm laughing because I know when this airs, I'm going to get a lot of DMs from people talking about I'm hating, but the truth's the truth, man.
Okay.
And I feel like with regards to how DJing has evolved from the 70s, the days of Herc, Bambaataa, Flash, Theodore.
You from Queens?
I'm from Queens. Jackson
Okay, Queens.
Heights.
Gotcha.
Yep. But I grew up listening to those mixtapes of the crafters of the kind of DJing that you and I are popular for, whether it's in a club, in a battle, mixing records together, cutting it up. I studied this art form since the 70s. And when I compare what's going on now to back then, I just feel like technology has diluted the art form.
Tell me why.
I say that because it's easier to do now.
Okay.
Right? So I always use the analogy of math. If you, Bianca, let's say, wanted me to teach you math, would I be doing you a disservice if I taught you the math with the calculator first or with a pencil, I should say, and paper?
Calculator first.
Right? So the reason you say the calculator would be doing you a disservice is because with the calculator, you punch in numbers and you get the right answer. So you're gassing yourself into thinking you know math, when in fact, the calculator's doing the majority of the work. All you're doing is taking your finger and punching in 5 plus 5, then equals. So you get 10 and you're like, yo, I'm a master at math. Like I never get the answers wrong. Mm-hmm. But if I give you a pencil and paper, and let's say you've been doing math all your life with a calculator, and I give you a pencil and paper, and I write 5 plus 5, what does that total? You're not gonna know how to play with the numbers. So I use that analogy to say in 2024, the calculator is the equivalent of a DJ app or a controller where you could man the gear and play music and be under the illusion that you're DJing when in fact the equipment is doing the majority of the work for you. And that's what I'm seeing a lot on social media, in the clubs, and as a result, the fundamentals of DJing have been lost over the years.
What do you say to a person that says, and I'm using your analogy of the calculator, is when you do math, the purpose of having 5 plus 5 equals 10 is the bottom line is 10.
Right.
You don't make a difference where if it came from out of your head or if it came from a calculator, the answer is 10. You understand? So if I use the analogy of a controller or an app, the equal sign is the music is being played and enjoyed by the audience that's listening.
Right. So my retort to that would be, what if you're in a room with a bunch of DJs and there are no controllers or laptops and everyone's just going back to back on vinyl? Are you going to sit down and just watch and be like, yo, well, I'm going to skip this one out, fellas. I'm going to just watch y'all. And you're a DJ and everyone's going up there playing their music, having fun, doing mixes. Each person is jumping in and out of the turntables. You're just going to sit down and be like, nah, I'm not going to play because I don't have the controller in front of me.
I'm going to answer that question, but I want so you could understand me. I feel like I am the person that's the bridge. And when I say the bridge, meaning I remember and I was around carrying crates. And I am a person that adapted and I am acceptive of technology. So
am I.
Okay,
so
right.
I think we are on the same page there.
Okay, so, but I identify with younger DJs at a certain point. I may stop. But I know a lot of them may say, well, who cares about vinyl? They don't sell vinyl anymore. Everything is here. Why? The analogy you said, I'm in the room full of DJs, that's like highly impossible to happen.
Okay, let me give you a different analogy.
Okay.
Let's say you're inside a club, you're in a DJ booth playing, you get to the venue, and you're a controller DJ. You get to the venue, and the controller's not there. They have 2 turntables. Someone spilt water on the controller. So they sent it to get repaired, and they have 2 Technique 1200s there and Serato records for you to plug your laptop in. And you don't know how to work the turntables. Does the party all of a sudden have to stop because...
So let me ask you a question.
But before you ask me a question, what's your answer to that retort?
I'm going to answer it. I feel that a controller, and I could be wrong, I feel like a controller and the turntable of the Technique they are basically the same. It's just a different feel. Why I say that it's the same? Because the turntable now, you're using a Serato vinyl, which is the same as a controller.
But the thing is DJs that use controllers typically don't put their hand on the jog wheel. They hit buttons.
The buttons, okay.
To start the song, to launch the song, let's say on a 1. You see them on TikTok
Slam. I call it slam DJ. Exactly. I am a slam DJ.
So let's say
I'm guilty of that.
This is actually a really great conversation. And I like that usually when I'm being asked these kind of questions, it's by someone that doesn't DJ.
Okay.
And you actually DJ and I can tell, lean towards that world. So it's good. It's good for us to have this conversation or this debate because then people get to see both sides and how it's sort of like people can then make their decision as to what makes more sense to them, right? But my thing to you is this. Most people that start DJing on controllers, let's say you don't DJ, you want to become a DJ, the first gear you buy is a controller. DJs like that, people that are learning, are punching in those numbers like they're punching in the numbers on a calculator, right? They're not picking up the pencil and putting the paper in front of them and writing the numbers and you see what the numbers are doing. They're not doing that, which would be the equivalent of using turntables. So my thing is, again, back to my scenario, this DJ Joe Schmo started out on controllers, never used Technique 1200s. He has a residency at such and such nightclub every Friday. One Friday he walks in, the controller's not there. It's broken. They have turntables there, Serato records, and they have a Rain 70 mixer that allows you to plug the mixer into your laptop. What is that DJ gonna do if he or she never actually picked up a piece of vinyl, doesn't know how to pick up a needle and place it on the vinyl, doesn't know how to trust their ear to move the pitch dial to the right spot to get those two songs synced in? The response from you might be, well, they could just look at the laptop. You know, at the end of the day, it's about getting the answer right. So they could just look at the laptop and make sure that the BPMs on both sides are identical. But you'll know, because you've been DJing for a minute, right, Self? On Technique 1200s, my pair at my house might be calibrated different than your pair at your house.
Yes.
So +3 on the pitch dial for you might be actually +1.5. So if you're looking at the computer and you're thinking, oh, well, I got both BPMs matched on both sides of the turntables, this is gonna sound smooth when I transition, and then it's not, because you don't trust your ears, or you don't even have your ears developed enough to understand your mix is trailing off. That night is gonna be really rough on the people dancing in front of you on the dance floor. So for me, although you're saying, well, look, at the end of the day, whether you use turntables or controllers, you're gonna get the answer, right? If you're using controllers, is because obviously the way it's configured, the way these companies design this equipment, you don't really have to do much thinking. But what if you're in a scenario where you do have to think? You know what I'm saying? So for me, if you're gonna be a DJ, learn the art. And I'm not saying don't use controllers. I actually toured with ESPN for 2 years. I was their college game day DJ.
Okay.
So every Saturday we would tour to different states throughout the country and tape the show live from like 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Right? And from like 7 to 9, I would rock for the student body that would turn out to see the taping of the show. And I used a Rain 1, which is a controller. I'm not trying to travel every Saturday with 2 turntables, a mixer on top of my laptop and all that stuff. That shit is, sorry for cursing. That shit is a hassle, right? So the controller is super compact. I would take it on that first date, drop it off with the truckers that would move the set to the different cities week to week and leave it with them. Not have to worry about the controller getting damaged, my turntables getting lost because it's 2 pair. And yeah, it was super convenient. But that said, if that controller broke on me, no big deal. I would have brought my turntables and the party would have continued. So I just feel like that debate of like, does it really matter? At the end of the day, you're getting the answer anyway, is sort of flawed, because you want to be able to man the music, control the gear, you, not the gear controlling you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me say this. You might be a little like lost, which is fine.
Totally.
Are you?
Yes,
But
that's fine.
it's
So I will say this in my combatant, and to anybody listening and you, I have been, the word I want to use is lucky enough to have start with turntables. But I would say that I started with the ending of using vinyl. And I would say that my heyday would be CDs and MP3s.
So this is like 2005.
Yeah, you know, like that, right? Into current. And the ending of his story, right? I'm going to say, I agree when DJs should learn or should know the art of DJing. But the scenario that he came up with was your controller broke and they got two pairs of. It's highly unlikely that would happen because most venues are going to have the controller there because what he did say was the controller is is easier to move.
It's easy to move. You could go to any Guitar Center and buy a controller,
Yes.
right?
So
I get it. That might be an extreme example.
yeah,
but
But I think the sentiment is still the same.
Right.
That you don't really truly appreciate the art of it when you don't know like the origins.
doing.
The same thing when it comes to writing. Like you don't really appreciate like what a real publication is if you've never like held like for instance magazines. Everything is online, but you don't really know the true value if you've never done print before.
well, let me. So all right. So with me, I guess
2 against 1, bro.
no, that's what she really doesn't count when it comes
Bianca
to DJing.
agrees with me.
Right? She doesn't count when it comes.
He's so disrespectful.
The reason why I say that is because I came up where. So we always talk about, and this is I'm talking hip hop. So hip hop to me, now there are people we can say they're old school. But when I came up, there was no such thing as old school because hip hop wasn't old. You understand? So it was just you are the younger guy, we're the older guys. You're doing it wrong. So what I see now is the same thing when the older DJs are telling the younger DJs the same thing. And a younger DJ could say, homeboy or old head, OG, I didn't come up with vinyl. I can't buy records. This is how it is today. This is how it is today. Stop trying to make it what it was before. This is what it is
I appreciate
today.
that. I think my response to that would be this art form of DJing, mixing, scratching, backspinning, quick mixing, blends, all of the techniques that we incorporate at nightclubs, over the radio, when we're recording mixtapes, were created and cultivated on records for a reason. The tools that DJs used in the 70s, 80s, 90s created the space for the creativity that we interact with and employ when we're DJing. You can't name me, nor is there a DJ out there watching this podcast that can name me one technique that was created post CDJs, DJ apps. Every technique that we employ and incorporate was created before laptops. For a reason. The point that I'm trying to make with that self is that when you're on turntables, you're forced to use different receptors, different brain muscles. You're forced to think and approach the turntable in a way that apps take away, because the apps do the work for you. You know what I mean? You could look at the computer screen and be like, all right, the BPM is 96 here, the BPM is 89 there, I just got to move the pitch up to 96, all right, I'm there. You're not thinking and you're not engaging your ear, and DJing is about engaging your ear, listening to the sounds and the drums and what everything is doing as you manipulate the music. When you're looking at the computer screen, you're engaging your eyes and you stop listening as much. So my thing is, because mixing, scratching, backspinning, beat juggling, quick mixing, all of the techniques that we employ now as DJs, because these techniques were created on turntables, is not, or not because, what I should say is the fact that these techniques were created on turntables is not a coincidence.
Okay.
And since 2005, since CDJs came out and DJ apps like Serato DJ, you can name me one technique that has been created or developed or cultivated. So like, let's say in the last 20 years, there's not one technique. Every technique that a DJ does, whether it's on a controller, with the exception of hitting a button, which isn't a technique, Right? Every technique that a DJ employs to play music, queuing up. For now, if you're using a controller, you might hit a button, or you might look at the.
Well, cue points are techniques.
No, it's not a technique. It's not. Nah, cue points it's just a feature. It's not a technique.
But you still
it's
have
a
to
feature.
learn. You still have to learn or memorize, right? Your cue points.
But that's not a technique. That's just basically like getting inside a truck and knowing, all right, what's drive, what's reverse, what's neutral. You know what I mean? Like you're just moving a knob to, if you want to go forward, okay, D, move it to drive, and then you move forward. Remembering that is like some basic first grade shit. You know what I'm saying? That's not a technique, bro. A technique is listening in your headphones to the song that you're about to play that's being mixed by you, right? And you're moving the pitch down where you need to move it so that the song that's incoming is playing at the same speed of the song that's playing outside of the speakers that your audience is dancing to. And focusing enough to split your attention and know that the song in your headphones might be a little too fast, so you gotta slow it down a little and move that pitch dial to the left until it locks in for about, let's say, 15 seconds, so that when you're transitioning from the song that the audience is listening to the new song that you've got queued up that they don't even know is coming yet, it's smooth. That's technique.
Now, again, I'm going to say, I would love, I just want to say this again because I don't want people to be unclear. What you're saying is I would love for it to be that way. But I am a person that's a realist or realityist
I get that.
of what it is. So
I respect
me
that.
say that. So this in the same sentence, right? And I wish there was a younger DJ here to have that conversation with you about how they particularly feel. I think I am the bridge. But in the same sentence, and so you're listening, we saying 2005, what technique has what you
Name one.
So I can say name one technique since 2005 that the turntablist has created.
How can I answer that question?
Because the turntable's still here.
Yeah, it's still here. It's still here. But here's the thing. The lexicon.
I'll let you wait. Okay.
The lexicon, the language of what DJing is completed itself, I would say.
So exactly, I agree. So
right.
my point is saying is most of the stuff has already been created.
Right.
Prior to these controllers being there.
Right. But
so it's not too much you can kind of do to create. You understand what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is there's a reason for that. I think what you're missing is there's a reason why. Here's the fucking beauty, bro, of hip hop DJing. And I don't really call it hip hop DJing. I'm giving it air quotes because at the end of the day, it's just DJing, right? Meaning you're not playing Drake and DMX and Kendrick Lamar. You're just playing music that's dope, regardless of genre. That to me is pure DJing.
Yes.
The best way I could answer retort your point is by saying this. And actually, the book talks about this.
I want to talk about your book. I like to have DJ
There's
talk.
a connection there.
I apologize.
No, don't apologize. Don't apologize. This is a great conversation. Do you understand, Self, that what you and I do was not meant for us to do?
What you mean by that?
What I mean by that is when you look at a turntable, Thomas Edison invented the turntable. And its purpose is for you to drop a needle on a piece of vinyl, which has captured sound, and then walk away from it and enjoy the music from a distance, right? In the 1970s, youth, like specifically Grandmaster Flash, Grand Wizard Theodore, Jazzy J, Tony Tone, Charlie Chase, Grand Mixer DST.
Okay, good.
Right?
I want you to say their names. All right, let me say this before. I wasn't around at the time, but I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
So when I say me being from Brooklyn, there've been arguments that Grandmaster Flowers.
Flowers
different
was
things
a
like that.
disco DJ.
I'm just saying, but we're talking about the turntable. We're not talking about, right? We're talking about the turntables.
But what I'm talking about,
Okay.
what we do to the turntable.
Got you. Go ahead.
Right?
Okay.
So the turntable was invented by Thomas Edison for us to pick up a needle, place it on a piece of vinyl, which has captured sound, and then you walk away from the turntable and listen to the music from a distance. But in the 70s, these youth redefined the purpose of the turntable because in the Bronx specifically, New York City, during that time, we were dealing with a crazy ass world. Fiscally, the Bronx was not being supported by the government. You had marginalized kids that couldn't gain access to, let's say, band in school. Didn't have parents that could afford drum kits for them to learn how to play drum, or bass guitars for them to learn how to play bass. So they transformed the use of the turntable into a musician, into an instrument, right? And they became musicians on the turntable. And so from the late, let's say, mid 70s through the early 1990s, these techniques were being formed on a piece of gear that wasn't meant for a kid in the Bronx or in Queens or in Brooklyn to use as an instrument. So by 2005, the language, the lexicon of what DJing is, mixing, scratching, backspinning, beat juggling, all the different techniques that we incorporate as DJs to ultrasound and play songs and stuff, was formed. Now this new piece of gear came out, a CDJ. And people who use it, people who swear by it, haven't done anything creative on it. They're using techniques that people...
I'm going to disagree with you.
All right, so again, name me one technique.
I'm going to disagree with you with the... Oh, wait, are you talking about as far as the DJing?
I'm saying people that use...
I thought you were talking about the invention of it. Okay.
What I'm saying is people that use turntables, like Grand Wizard Theodore, Grandmaster Flash, Grand Mixer DST, Charlie Chase, Tony Tone, that help create all of the techniques that we see DJs use now on controllers, right? The reason they created those techniques was because they were forced to be creative. They were forced to think outside of the box and be like, yo, what can I do with this turntable? This clunky machine that's in front of me, what can I do to it to create sound, to create...
Let me ask you, so what do you say to, and I'm using me as a mid-level and say, okay, well, people from back in the days, they use technology also because from my understanding, the first turntable were belt drive.
Correct.
Then it turned to direct drive,
Correct.
which made it easier to be a DJ. So when I say that to you, right, and this is the same thing as a controller, a belt drive.
No, it's not.
Okay. When I say the same thing as a controller, meaning it made the technique of DJing easier or better, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, would
you say yes or no?
This is what I will say.
I just asked you yes or no first.
This is what I would say. This is what I would say.
You met your man.
Right now, if let's use Bianca for an example. Let's say Bianca was like, yo, Self, I just got booked to DJ at Coachella. Like they saw me on your podcast and they thought that like I have the aesthetic to close Coachella and I'm gonna take it because they're gonna give me 50 grand. But yo, I don't DJ. You could be like, No problem, B. I got you. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna build a set for you. I'm gonna build an hour-long set for you. Take my laptop, right? Take my controller. I'll fly out there with you. I'm gonna turn everything on for you, right? And then when you go up there, all you gotta do is hit enter. And then my mix is gonna start that I pre-recorded for you, right? It's an hour-long mix. All you gotta do, Bianca, is stay in front of the gear and act like you're DJ. Act like you're DJing for an hour.
I can do that, by the way.
Right?
Holla at me.
And boom, she gets off stage, promoter gives her the 50 grand, you get your percentage, everyone's happy, right?
Yes.
If this was 25 years ago,
You've never seen.
Hold on. If this was 30 years ago, Bianca could not get away with doing that because you can't fake
I disagree. Let me tell you something.
You can't fake a set on 2 turntables.
Rob Swift,
bro.
I've seen it every once a week in my life. After coming from school, I saw that on in Living Color. I saw DJ S1, which is Sean Wayne, act like he was a fucking DJ.
That's a TV show.
Same shit. Don't do that. It was a mix that's been played,
Bianca,
and he was S1 the fucking DJ. Act like he was DJing the whole time. Act like he was scratching and all that.
TV show.
Yo, Rob Swift, come on, God. What you try? Come on, God.
People did that in music videos too.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, so it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing because a live Coachella set, you cannot fake.
It's the same thing. You fake it. You act like you're scratching.
Turntables.
Yes, you can. You just press play. You act like you scratching.
How could you if a record is playing self?
I'm listening.
Now you're reaching, bro.
I'm not reaching.
If a record is playing,
you was 100% aware
if
that S1W was not DJing on Living Color.
That's a pre-recorded TV show.
But it still was a pre-recorded mix.
I'm talking about a live set. A live set on
turntables.
You can't fake that. It's the equivalent of giving someone 2 drumsticks and telling them, play this drum kit. You can't fake that. Either you could play the drums or not. Either you could pick up a bass
and act like you playing the bass.
The only way you could get away with doing that is if you actually went through the trouble of fucking setting up an alternate set and you're in some fucking backstage corner behind a curtain playing your set. But I mean, that is extreme, bro.
Rob, I'm super confused right now. Rob, you can press play on anything. You can press play on the tape back then. You can press play on the DAT.
Yeah, but you can't
press play
fake
on anything.
Scratches.
Yes, you can.
How?
This is the same thing as you saying to me. You could fake with the controller.
Yes, if you pre-record self.
How many times you slept with your Technique 1200 in the bed?
They're in the room next to me.
I bet.
I practice every single day.
As you should. Salute.
Since 1983.
So
nonstop.
And I did come from that era that I used to.
Yeah.
You know, and some people may say, dag self, that you conform to what is today. Mm-hmm. You understand? And I have.
Right.
Because again, technology moves. You know, same thing as cooking. When you said food.
But the thing about it is,
and microwave ovens.
Technology moves.
Air fryers.
Technology moves, and you moved with it. But someone like Bianca, who wants to learn how to DJ, should not take 50 grand from a festival like Coachella without. That's robbing people, bro. Like she has no idea what to do as a DJ, and she's asking you hypothetically, Bianca.
Yeah, I would never do that.
To pre-record a set, mm-hmm. And then she's getting up on stage, faking it. That's what technology allows you to do now, and to me.
But I think you could have done that back then too. I just gave you an example.
Has that ever happened? Has that ever happened live?
Let me say this. I don't know as far as DJing because I can't. But I know that. Well, let me say this. Yes, because I've been places, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas an artist say, "Yo, DJ for me," right? But they already got a DAT played. But they just wanted me act like they had a DJ.
But that's corny though.
But it has happened.
That's I mean.
So
yeah, but
it has happened
again. But it can't happen on turntables.
Yes, you can. You put the turntable there and you acting like you scratching.
But you're saying someone is playing a DAT. That's technology. The DAT is the equivalent to a controller. That's still
That's a tape, but that is a
digital.
tape.
It's digital technology,
It's
right?
it's a tape, though,
It's
man.
digital technology.
Yeah.
All right, here's the thing. Let's just say this. If I gave,
You know what a DAT is?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
so it's DAT stands for digital audio tape.
It's a tape. To me, it's a tape.
And here's what in the
It's
90s.
a great sounding tape. It's a good sounding tape.
It's a digital audio tape. And in the 90s, what happened was rappers that didn't want to pay their DJs to tour with them because they got to put up extra money for a hotel room, give them a percentage of their show money. What they would do is they would travel with DAT machines. So they would go to the studio, outline their show on a DAT tape, and then their road manager would put the DAT tape inside the DAT machine and hit play and sit in front of or stand in front of the DAT machine while the rapper was performing their show, leaving the DJ at home. Do you think that as a DJ self, do you think that is respectful of our art form?
I don't. But what I'm saying to you,
You had me worried for a second,
No,
bro.
I don't. But,
All right,
but you're going. That's a whole different road.
It's not. You brought up the DAT.
No, the road I'm going to is you saying that has never happened. Whereas people don't fake, or back then you can't fake it, and I'm telling you, you can, because they used to have a DAT machine because the DATs never skipped.
Yeah, but
Records
they're not.
skip.
But they're not faking. They're basically saying, "Fuck the DJ. I don't need the DJ."
No, because sometimes I've DJed for artists, or I have faked DJ for artists because they wanted, maybe they charge more for the DJ, whatever. But they, it's like, all right, the record may skip. So for this to be a flawless show, I'm gonna play the DAT. You just stand there and DJ and hype up the crowd.
Yo, that's crazy.
And act like you DJ.
That's crazy.
You understand what I'm saying? Because records skip.
That's crazy.
Rest in peace to Big Cat. That's the famous thing for all us DJs.
Yeah.
Not Fat Joe. Biggie Smalls was on a MTV show or something like that, and the record kept skipping, and he threw a water bottle at Big Cat because he messed up the whole thing. Yeah, that's like every DJ seen that. Like, damn, because that's like our worst nightmare for an artist to throw something at us because the record is skipping or whatever, and that's super embarrassing.
Right, but then you had DJs like Jam Master Jay.
I've never seen this record skip. I don't know what the hell he did.
Have you ever heard the song "Here We Go"?
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, right. Towards the end, while DMC's rapping, the record skips. You hear it on the record, the actual recording, and Jay figures out a way to keep the drums on beat, and DMC keeps rapping. So that's the difference between a rapper and a DJ that is refined in their skill and his practice, and a rapper and a DJ that haven't practiced and probably never rehearsed. Because if the record skips, as a DJ what you got to do to keep that rhythm going for your rapper. And if you can't figure that out, bro, then I'm sorry, man. No disrespect to Cap, R.I.P., but he wasn't as technically sound.
No, Cap was 100% he was not.
Yeah, he was not as technically sound.
No, he was not. Cap was not. Dirty records, everything. Yes, Cap was my man. Cap was a very good friend of mine. Cap was not.
And that's why it's important to learn the math with a pencil and paper, because regardless of the situation, whether you're using turntables and the needle's skipping on you, or you're using a controller and it's acting up, if you have that wisdom, that understanding of how to carry yourself on whatever gear that you're using, then you could get through a show or get through a set and it not be an issue. You know what I'm saying? And the crowd kind of see you're in this dilemma. The needle skipping. You're having issues with the controller. Maybe one side is acting up, and you figure that shit out. You play on one side, forget the other side. Like, having a troubleshoot and figure your shit out and problem solve is something that DJs today, because they're just using the top.
Well,
they pick up their phone. They're just using the calculator, punching in numbers.
I'm going to say this to you, Bianca, because Rob right now, he's putting his fist up, but crossing his fingers behind his back. And I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
In this conversation, out of his own mouth, he said, I was with ESPN and I bought a controller because it was easier for me to do this, da 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 da. So you conform. You did.
He did, but he's saying that it's important if you're going to be a DJ to know the origin.
I agree. I did say I agree.
And that's not just a DJ. I think that's in general. Like that's like being a supervisor or a manager. Like,
I did say I agree.
You always want to know what your workers, like how they get their jobs done, right? Because if they walk out, you as a good manager should be able to sit in that seat and do their job. Right? So I think that's the same sentiment.
Exactly
is that
no, that's not what
no,
he's saying.
it is. You need to be able to troubleshoot.
No, that's what he's saying, because you can
take a
you can get the
shortcut.
job done without using turntables. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So again, this is what I love turntables. I grew up with my first turntable was a Learnatech. Okay. A Learnatech, whatever, I put something like that, right? Learnatech, and I had the belt drive first. After the belt drive, I got a couple dollars. I got the direct drive. I had one though, right? One in the tape deck. Then I think my grandmother, my mother for Christmas gave me a pair of Techniques, right? And the silver ones. I never had the 1210s. I always had the silver ones. But me saying that to you is you made me forget what the fuck I was about to say.
I had that effect on people.
Look, man.
Fuck what you gonna say, son. Oh, what I'm saying, right, is I just think that you know the kids today, that's not they don't really sell techniques like that. One,
They
right?
sell turntables.
But what I'm saying, when I go into it's controllers everywhere, because this is what the technology is today.
Right. Yeah, you could still use controllers like turntables and not rely on the BPMs of the laptop to mix.
That's the same thing as a record, a Serato record.
Yeah, I use my ear when I mix and I DJ. I don't.
But you can do that with a controller.
Right, but because the controller allows you to not engage your ear, so does
the Serato record.
Right. Well, the thing is, students. Here's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Students that use controllers, I say students because you're still learning.
All the time.
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
But more so, you're a beginner at DJing and you're buying a controller, right? So my thing is, let's say the answer is Z. The answer is Z. And we have the alphabet. And the final answer is Z. And you're at A. When you use turntables, you stop at B, and then at C, and then at D, and then at E, until you get to Z. I'm at Z now, right? Someone that decides today, because they saw a TikTok video of someone DJing, to buy controllers, they're at A. And they're gonna make this quantum leap to Z and skip B, C, D, E, F. And when they do that, when they make this quantum leap and skip all of the letters in between A and Z, you're saying, Rob, they're getting the answer, they're getting Z. And what I'm saying is, they're getting Z, but they don't even fucking know why. They don't know how.
No, what I'm saying to you is, you're telling me that using a Serato record, and I'm saying the same technologies for a Serato record is the same thing as a controller. It's just a different feel.
It's not exactly the same, because with turntables, you still have to make sure that your touch, how you approach the vinyl, is accurate, so that, for example,
because I can bang the turntable, don't skip.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, let's say you're gonna drop on the one. Let's say you're cutting up doubles of Impeach the President. Right? And someone's rapping. With turntables, there's not a let's say you're using records, right? There's
records or a Serato record?
No, actual records, right?
But they don't sell those actual records anymore.
Sure you can. You could go to record discogs and order them.
They don't sell. Chief Keef come out with a song.
A1 Records and buy them.
Listen, Chief, the A1 Records is not selling Chief Keef right now. There's no Chief Keef.
No, but what I'm
today.
saying is, let's just say you're learning how to drop on the one, and you get duplicate copies of a record from the '90s, Run DMC, whatever. Right?
But you keep. All right. No, I
Hold
can't
on,
say
let
right.
me finish. Let me finish my point.
Yeah.
So when you're using turntables, there's stage one is understanding how to listen and react with your hand, right? Mm-hmm. That's just you using turntables and vinyl. That's it. Stage two is, let's say you're using Serato. So now you're using turntables with a mixer that allows you to connect into Serato and look at wave files. Mm-hmm. So what happens then is you're still using turntables. You might cheat and look at the computer to see where the one starts, but physically, mechanically, you still have to drop with the right amount of...
That's the same thing with a controller.
Hold on, with the right amount of velocity. Because if you don't, the sound of the song that you're dropping in could drag in. So if you're putting too much pressure on a turntable, instead of it sounding like... it'll sound like it'll slow, it'll kind of drag in and then pick up speed if you're putting too much pressure on the record. So you're still having to cultivate some kind of proper mechanics. When you're using controllers and CDJs, no matter how much pressure you put on that controller or CDJ, the minute you let go, it starts.
I disagree because they have a toggle. They have a toggle on it.
Right, but what I'm saying is if you configure everything where you're supposed to, then the mechanics that you
Rob,
learn,
you know you're talking to a DJ, man. So you can't just
but what I'm saying is, I am finessing you because what I'm saying is okay. once you configure everything on the CDJ so that it does shit for you.
Yes. Okay.
All the stuff that you're worried about and
but that's the same thing with Serato records.
All the stuff that you're conscious of on turntables goes away. You're picking up the calculator, punching in the numbers, getting the right answer, and thinking you're a DJ, and you're just a fucking fraud to me. Now, if you go from turntables to CDJs to controllers, I get that. I get you making those kind of like steps.
So what do you say to a young what do you say to a young DJ? I want to be a DJ. I'm 19 years old. Mm-hmm. I want to be a DJ. Rob Swift is telling me, yo, you gotta go get, right? This is what I'm figuring. Mm-hmm. I'm 19, 16 years old. I don't know when people start. I started maybe 14.
Get turntables.
Right? So now, just listen to what I'm saying. Right? I started at 14, but I'm gonna use 18, right? 18 years old. Rob is telling an 18-year-old kid,
get turntables.
Go get turntables, right? Now, these turntables, I remember they were $500 to $1,000 something, a Technique.
You could get turntables for like $400.
$400.
Yeah.
So you got to get two now.
$800.
$800 with a mixer. Another $1,000. $1,400. Right? Yeah. This is $1,400.
A controller costs like about $1,600 right now.
That's a great controller, right? That's a great controller.
So you want them to just basically just get some cheap ass controller and just hit buttons?
Listen to what I just said to him. I'm an 18-year-old kid just starting.
Could get turntables.
Right?
I was 12 starting on turntables.
Because that's all you had.
Yeah.
That's all you had. That was your only choice.
And what I'm saying is now you have a choice between learning the organic way or learning the synthetic way.
So
I
now,
say learn the organic way.
Now this person that's 18 years old, when he becomes good at DJing at let's say 25, now he has to go buy a controller that's another $1,400.
Right, and all the gigs that person DJ'd.
Well, from 18 to 25, he may not get no gigs. He's still young, too young.
Okay, I mean, and. You shouldn't like you're not entitled. You're not entitled to like as soon as you get gear, you're supposed to get gigs and money. Like you got to work towards that.
I agree.
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is I'm a kid. So you're telling an 18-year-old kid, oh, in order to
DJ the right way.
The right way to for you.
No,
right?
no. Meaning like use your ear, understand the math. In your head,
right? But what I'm saying to you, right? what I'm saying is, right? I'm an 18-year-old kid, and you're telling me to spend a extra $1,500 or whatever because somebody that's older than me, that could be my pops, my grandpops, saying this is the way we used to DJ.
No, it's because when you DJ that way, you're engaging your senses, and it's more fun. It really is. It's more fun. Like, it's you interacting with the music and the sounds and altering what you hear. And that's what, for me, or where the beauty in DJing lies. It's not just, in hitting a button and then the gear just does all this work for you. It's you taking the sound, moving the record, you hear yourself scratching up someone's voice or whatever, or a word or drum beat. It's like you become a part of the music. And when you're hitting buttons, you lose that, man. You just do. You know what I'm saying?
I think you have a misconception of controllers that's the only thing you can do.
No, I have controllers at my house.
I know you do. You admitted it.
Right, and it's not even. But you're making it sound like I'm ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. What I'm saying is.
No, I'm just saying you did admit that you had controllers.
If you watch, I have YouTube videos that I.
You had a Rev what? Rev 7?
No, I have the Rain one.
Rain. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Rain.
the Rain one. And if you watch
with the thing, the pitch on the top.
No, the pitch is on the Rain one. The pitch is on the side.
Oh, okay.
And if you watch the YouTube videos of me DJing on it for College Game Day, ESPN, you see that like I'm backspinning, I'm scratching.
But the way you're saying it to someone who's confused or don't know, that it's impossible to do that with a controller, and you can.
You can, but I feel I'm not relying on the laptop to do it. I'm relying on my senses.
So wouldn't it be better for a young person to have that option that I can rely on my senses and I can rely on a computer? I got both. I got dual things for the same price.
But you got to develop. No, you could. Well, or like let's say you can't for whatever reason get turntables and you do get a controller. What I would then say is don't rely on the laptop. Don't rely on the features of the controller to do the work for you. So if you have to and you're using a laptop, because really that's the only way to use a controller is you got to use a laptop. Like, so if the screen is here, face it away from you. So that you're engaging your ear and understanding and learning how to hear or listen. Because you could hear, but not really understand what's going on. It's about listening to music, you know? And so if you're going to get controllers, then at least have the discipline to learn how to engage your ears and trust yourself, because at the end of the day, if you don't do that, it's not really you DJing, it's the equipment. And to me, what Theodore, Flash, DST, Jazzy J, Tony Tone, Charlie Chase, Louie Lou, Mixmaster Ice, Jam Master J, what all these guys did, all the techniques that they contributed to the lexicon of what DJing is, for you to really understand what this art is about, you gotta learn it the way they did. And then once you understand the math with a pencil and paper, then by all means move on from that and you could graduate to controllers or CDJs. You know, I'm not about saying no to technology. I just want the art to evolve in a creative way. And from what I'm seeing now, it's at a stalemate. Like I said, there haven't been any techniques that any DJ could name.
Well, I just combated you and said
oh
that.
my God, you know.
I just,
so.
Hold on, I want to talk about the book in a second. I know you about to get to the book.
I want to ask him a question about DJing for Akinelli.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
We just spent like an hour on this fucking topic.
No,
but
because he'll go on and on. And
Nah, I'm all for technology, but just learn how to do this shit the right way.
Yeah,
man.
talk about Akinelli.
Goodness gracious.
Good, talk about Akinelli. Good.
It's not about that. I just want to know, like, anyway. So you used to DJ for Akinelli.
Yeah.
How was that? Because he came out in a time, like, I had came across a meme that they were saying how my generation is like, oh, this music is too vulgar, but yet when we were younger, we were listening to Akinelli, like a little meme.
Yeah.
And it is true. Like I was 12 listening to his music. His music was pretty vulgar. So what was that like being his DJ?
Big shout to Akinelli. I learned so much about hip hop, about touring, about how to handle yourself with promoters, with fans, in the studio, with engineers, with record company people, with accountants, through Akinelli, man. That guy, he's interesting because Ak is a street kid, but he's smart.
Okay.
So from a creative standpoint, we're working on, talk about vulgar, we're working on his first album, Vagina Diner was the name of his first album. And yeah. So he was just, Ak was a super funny guy, very charismatic, but raunchy at the same time. But from a creative standpoint, working in a studio with him and Large Professor was like going to college. Like, I got schooled on how to properly make an album. And I would sit in the sessions and just watch Large Professor take a SP1200, take one sound, a kick drum, and then over the course of like 30 minutes build this like incredible beat for Ak to rap to and for me to scratch on. It was super, like, I just learned a lot. And it was super interesting being in the studio and seeing how an album gets recorded from beginning to end. It's not like, just to fully disclose, I've been in the studio before Akinelli. I actually released a single in like, I laugh at this, in 1988 called I Don't Play and Il Tempo. And it was me, Psycho Les from the Beatnuts. He was the producer. He and I met in junior high school. And my older brother was the rapper, and my older brother's friend, this kid named John, was the other rapper. So it was two rappers. Psycho Les was the producer, I was the DJ, and we recorded the single and we released it in 1988. So I've been in the studio, but we were these amateur kids really not knowing what the fuck we was doing. But fast forward to 1992 when we recorded Vagina Diner on Interscope Records, then I learned what it was to be in a studio with pros. And it was a great experience, man. Ak, I love that guy. I'm super thankful to him for tapping me to be his DJ. I was, up until I became Ak's DJ, I was a battle DJ. And I would enter different competitions.
Oh, like Juice?
Yep.
Oh.
Just like
your favorite
Juice.
movie? Okay.
Exactly.
My favorite movie because of the DJ aspect. Just letting you know that.
Mad people started DJing
That's
after
why this
watching
movie.
that movie. Yeah. That movie came out in
That's
what?
why this is
that
here.
came out in 92, I think.
91 is
91. So I entered my first DJ competition in March of 1991. It was the DMC. And the DMC stands for Disco Mixing Club. And basically it's a competition where you compose a 6-minute routine and perform it in front of a crowd of people and judges on turntables the right way. And then, you know, if you win, you move on to the, like, if you win your regional heat, you move on to the American finals. If you win the American finals, you go to the world, and the world finals in London. At the time, it was held in London. And then you win the world title, and for a year, you're the fucking man, right? And everybody's talking about you. So I entered in 1991 through the training of my mentor, Dr. Butcher, who DJ Fukuji rap. Then between 1991 and 1992, I entered a bunch of different battles. So I was making a name for myself here in New York and in certain areas of the country. And by 1992, Ak had started hearing about me. So he went to the 1992 East Coast DMC. That was the battle that I actually won, and he was there and he saw me win. And I remember when I got off stage, he went up to me. He was like, with his gruffy voice, he was like, "Yo, what up? It's Ak. He was like, yo, man, you killed it, and yo, I'd love for you to be my DJ." And I was like, wow, this shit is dope. Because at the time, Main Source, Large Professor, K-Cut, Sir Scratch had released their Breaking Atoms album. And one of the songs that, or probably the hottest song on that album, was Live at the Barbecue. And Live at the Barbecue featured Nas. That was Nas's debut. Fatal, Large Professor, and Akinelli was on that song as well. So Ak had a buzz as well. So when he came up to me, I knew who he was, and I heard about him. And to me, no disrespect to anybody on that song, Nas obviously killed it, Fatal killed it, Large killed it, but Ak's verse was always my favorite verse. Because how he would manipulate his voice, like, you know, he would just like, he'd be like, da 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 da, like he would drop his voice. The word that he would make rhyme, he would like drop his voice on, and that was just a dope style to me. So I was just like fucking geeking out when he came up to me after the DMC, and I became his DJ, and yeah, it was just an amazing experience DJing for him in the studio, touring with him, like just learning how to navigate promoters and getting paid, and yeah, real fucking amazing experience that I would do over again in a heartbeat. I think every DJ should experience DJing for a rapper at some point in their career. I don't feel like these days enough DJs do that. It's like I see kids go from their bedroom straight to the club.
Yeah.
And they never experience, a lot of them, I would say the majority, touring for a rapper, going on the road, maybe recording scratches in the studio like Premier did for Gangstar and still does for artists. That to me is also an aspect of DJing that's fun, creative, and you get to develop in a cool way creatively when you're in those environments, on a stage with a rapper or in a studio.
Yeah, is it safe to say that Akinelli was probably one of the first like raunchy rappers?
No.
Well,
I mean, wait, no.
Well, let me say this, right? This is kind of gear. I just want you so you could.
Oh God.
no, go ahead.
I already know where we're going here.
My first cluster of records. My first record probably was. I don't remember my first record, but my first cluster of records was Ah Ha Ha. Yeah. So I used to have to scratch, and because in the verse he said, "My name itself," but I used to cut it up. It's like, "My name is Self. My name is Self." I just want you to so you know that I.
Oh yeah, nah, yo.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that. I just want to make sure. I said the cut. My name is Self. My name is Self. You know what part of the record I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what part.
My name is Self. Got more heartbeat than Robert Townsend.
Yeah,
like that. Okay,
that's dope. That's dope.
So I'm just letting you know that.
Nah, that's dope.
So I used to have to cut that part up.
Look, I feel like as far as Ak and the raunchiness is concerned, he wasn't necessarily the first raunchy rapper. I think actually rap groups like Two Live Crew were big inspirations on him.
Okay. Yo, I'm gonna tell you the funny shit, right? Akinelli only had like 2 raunchy songs. The rest of the songs was like hip hop shit.
On the first album, I would say, you know, a couple of the songs were somewhat raunchy.
How many albums he had? He only had like an album and an EP.
Right. But
Akinelli was rapping.
Right,
yeah.
He was That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
say. What I was gonna say was, although he's remembered for "Put It in Your Mouth" and the raunchiness of that song, his first album, Vagina Diner, although the title is raunchy, right?
No,
although
he
the
was
title
rapping.
Ak was like a battle MC.
Okay.
And that for me, it was just dope because I came up in the 80s. I started DJing in 1983. So that second decade of hip hop, it was just a lot of battle rap. Big Daddy Kane, even Rakim, although Rakim was smooth with
Who better,
with his
Rakim
shit.
or Kane?
Yo, damn, they're both dope, dude.
Oh, that's a good
Who's
one.
better? Who's better? And why?
It depends, man. It depends. Like, if you want high impact,
I've said for you.
yo, dude, it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say because Rakim was like a battle rapper, but he was smooth. And Kane was more of a classic battle rapper, rapping fast, fucking mashing a bunch of words together in 2 sentences. But they were both dope, dude. It's hard for me to pick one or the other.
I forgot he's from Queens. That's why.
No, I'm not gonna. Both of them are dope. But
you know what?
Yeah.
This has been a long argument here, right? There's been a long argument here, and I feel that you are of the age to make
I already know where this is going.
significant answer.
Okay.
The only Achilles heel that would be is he is from Queens, so he might be biased.
QU.
Right? You see? So he already biased. Rapper. Ice Cube or Nas? Even him breathing, I salute you for even taking a breath. Thank you, brother. You see? This when you taking a breath.
Here's the thing.
You taking a breath. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
I'm
for
a
even
DJ,
taking a breath.
I'm a DJ, but I know my rap. America's Most Wanted.
Just listen.
That album is fucking insane.
Come
like
on.
Cube, yo, what he's saying, like, first of all,
Do you want some more
conceptually.
water or something?
No, I'm good.
Good now.
Conceptually-
Now you want to
For the
comment.
Twix, anything that's straight?
Conceptually, Ice Cube, wow, that album is crazy. And even before that, like, he was writing for Dre, Eazy-E, NWA.
Everybody said I was crazy.
No.
Everybody said.
Ice Cube, but I just feel like, I think over time, like in the early 90s, I feel like America's Most Wanted came out in 1990. Illmatic came out in what, 93? Right? So I can't think of a rapper that was fucking with Cube up until Nas came out. So there's that. You know what I mean? Like when Nas came out with Illmatic and
It Was Written.
those 2 albums, bro. And I feel like the one thing I will say sort of against Cube is that America's Most Wanted was a fucking classic album. To this day still is. To me, right on par with Illmatic. But I don't feel like Cube, in my opinion, followed that up with other great work.
The second album was good. Don't do that.
It was cool.
Now I get the dap. Now I get the dap.
Cool.
Don't do that. Don't do that. No, the second album was good. Don't do that. What was that? Death certificate.
Don't
do that, bro.
Nas's
Bye-bye.
It Was Written was better than Death Certificate. It was better. It's a better album. Definitely.
Stop it.
Like that, you can't really compare those 2 albums,
just-
and that's where Cube sort of loses me, bro.
Here. Just a piece of humble pie. Here you go.
That's where Cube sort of loses me. But
Nah,
America's
man, I'm
Most
gonna go
Wanted
through
was
those
a great album.
Got a little too
It
hyped
was
there, buddy.
an amazing album.
Yeah, no, amazing album. But Nas fucking came again, sophomore album. It Was
Trying
Written.
to find it. It was.
In some ways, It Was Written might be better than Illmatic. So
Nah.
I think so.
I feel like Nas was just more mature with his songwriting. To me, although the beats on Illmatic were dope, I don't know, something of like fucking Shootouts. That fucking beat is crazy. Track
Y'all
masters
bugging
like
out.
they got
Nas is
busy.
coming. That was trash, God. Come on, God. Yo,
One song. That's
Yeah,
one
everybody.
song.
I'm going through
That's
that.
one song.
Yo, everybody keep.
Affirmative Action was on that album.
Yeah,
Are you
that-
kidding me
yeah.
right now?
Yeah, well, you
Are
got
you
Foxy,
kidding
Asia.
me?
You had to
Dre
get
made up.
the
Dre made up for that. Nas was coming. Shit, I wasn't fucking with that song.
Yeah, come on. Nas
But that was
is
just one
coming.
song. That's just one
One.
song.
Just one.
Every other song on It Was Written.
Let me
was
see. I'm
fucking
going
dope.
through the album now. The message was alright.
The message was amazing.
I gave you power, cool. Watch
Every
them. Watch
song.
them. Okay.
Pretty much every song except for.
Come on.
Yeah.
No, every song on Illmatic was crazy.
Yeah. Definitely. I
Look,
agree with you.
what decade of hip hop do you feel was the best?
80s.
From 1980 to 1990.
and from if I were
No, decade.
Yeah,
We're
decade.
going.
So if I were-
Don't try to put jump on that.
I agree with you.
1980
I agree.
to
Yeah,
1980 to 1989.
Right, and then if I were to compare
No. 1980.
No, what I'm saying is if I were to compare that to 89 to 99
to 90 to 99.
so 80
1980 to 89.
and then 89 to 99.
You're
right?
slipping in that 1 year.
Okay.
Comparing the two,
Yeah,
right?
you put the year in there.
80s for me.
Why?
I feel like the 80s era of hip hop is the only era where all of the elements moved together in lockstep. I feel like in the 90s, rappers really sort of like got big headed and stopped featuring their DJ.
Okay.
They stopped featuring dancers. It became all about them rapping. In the 80s, going back to Big Daddy Kane, you had the
Scoop and
dancers,
Scrap.
Scoop and Scrap. EPMD had dancers.
What was it? Steezo, right? Was it Steezo?
No, Steezo had dancers as well. They were on the same
Steezo
label.
wasn't. Oh, I thought Steezo was EPMD.
No, I don't think Steezo was one of the dancers in EPMD. But
I gotta ask.
hip hop groups in the 80s had dancers and they had dope DJs. So, for example, EPMD had Scratch. They had Diamond J. They had Kayla Boss. Kane had Mr. C. You would see Mr. C in the video scratching it up. And to kind of bring it back to Akinelli, that's one of the reasons why he tapped me to be his DJ. I remember Ak also had dancers, IBM crew from Brooklyn. So he had this respect and reverence for the 80s era of hip hop. He would always tell me, yo, Rob, like it was important for me to have you because you're such a dope DJ, but also have dancers in back of me. The way Kane did it and EPMD did it. In the 90s, that shit got lost and it became all about the rapper and that's it. So for me, I feel like the 80s era of hip hop is the purest, the most honest in terms of the elements of hip hop, the dance, the DJing, the rapping. Even with regards to like graffiti and art, Akinelli's first album, it's a drawing, you know? So he understood the art aspect of this whole shit, you know? And I just feel like in the 90s, the aspect of the elements being congealed and corralled together got lost and it became all about the rapper. So you stopped hearing scratches on records in the 90s. To bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, our little debate with the DAT machines, rap groups.
That's the era of the DAT machine.
Yep, that's the era of the DAT machine. So rap groups would tour, Bianca, with DAT machines and DAT tapes of their show set and leave the DJ at home. That to me is disrespectful.
Nasty,
like imagine Run DMC doing that shit with Jam Master Jay.
Right.
Or EPMD doing that shit with Scratch. Or Kane doing that shit with C. You know, like I probably wouldn't be here because I was inspired, and you as well.
Yes.
Both of us, whether we know it or not, were inspired by watching Video Music Box and looking at Scratch fucking cutting it up in an EPMD video. You know what I'm saying? And that shit got lost in the 90s. The only
like
groups...
Tap Money. I remember Tap Money.
Tap Money was with Steady B. LL Cool J had Cut Creator. Like
I know Tap Money from Kwame. Okay.
There it is, yeah. He started out first with Steady B.
yeah.
In the 80s, you knew the DJ for each rapper and each rap group. In the 90s, it was just the rappers and that's it. You didn't know who their DJs were. And then when you would go to shows, I remember when I would tour with Ak, we would get to the venue, showtime, and I would see, for example, like Jay-Z with Irv. Irv Gotti used to be Jay-Z's DJ.
Yes.
And so Jay-Z would be there rapping, and there'll be no mention of Irv. And then Ak and I'll get up and Ak would be like, yo, that's my man, DJ Rob Swift. And I'd be fucking doing routines and shit like that because he was trying to preserve that
DJ.
80s concept of what a hip hop show should be like. You know what I'm saying?
I think all artists should do that. A lot of times people get mad at me because I've never been a tour DJ for an artist. And people are like, why? And different things. I turned down Beyonce one time. And they was like, yo, you stupid. I said, okay, well, somebody else took that job. Who was it? None of us could say who. I don't know.
Not a soul.
Who was Beyonce DJ?
Not a soul.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So in my mind, I'm like, I refuse, like you said, I refuse. I'm just, yo, DJ, play this, that, you know, most artists don't do that. But in the 90s, they did. Like, it was Black Moon, he had Evil D, Gangstar had.
I feel like, I'm sorry to interrupt you. What I will say is,
the Nubians at Alamo, don't do that.
but what I will say is,
Okay.
when you would go to the show, it became less about these different elements of hip hop.
Maybe late 90s.
I would say mid 90s. Started.
Okay.
I would
Maybe
say
mid
it
to
started
late,
in
yeah.
mid 90s.
Yeah, 'cause
it
Tribe
became
had
less
Ali.
right, but it became less about the interaction of the elements and more about yo DJ, not even saying dude's name,
Yes,
just
yeah.
yo DJ.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
DJ,
saying? Like yo, can you at least fucking
my
let me
name.
know what the dude's name is?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, drop my fucking song, and then the dude's rapping, and then
Yeah.
that's it. No dancers. By the
remember.
90s,
Yo,
the
DJ.
whole dancing
That's
shit.
just-
I didn't know,
it's
I didn't know DJs
disrespectful.
felt like that. I did not know DJs felt like that.
Hell yeah,
Culture.
yeah,
Wow,
that's super disrespectful. Yo, DJ,
Yeah.
put that on. Yeah.
That's interesting.
All the time.
Because it's
Yeah.
you're treated like you're hired help, and people don't realize behind the scenes what you do to make sure that the show is fucking flawless.
Right, right.
The responsibility that comes with DJing is no joke. Yo, you say that you turned down a Beyonce opportunity to tour with Beyonce. Jay-Z wanted me to DJ for him, and I said no.
Wow.
Because I knew what that
He
shit was
wasn't.
gonna
He
be.
wasn't gonna say Rob Swift.
Nah. And
It was for the same reason?
For the same exact reason.
Okay.
With the Jay-Z thing, though, I'll admit I was probably a little unprofessional about the shit. Because, like, we were rehearsing. Basically, he was touring the... Damn, what was that Denzel movie? That mob movie that he came
American.
Oh, American Gangster.
Right,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and Jay-Z did the
soundtrack.
the soundtrack for it. So he wanted me to be Jay-Z wanted me to be his tour DJ for the soundtrack Jay-Z wanted me to be the tour DJ for the promotion of that soundtrack album, American Gangster. So I'm like, dope, this is fucking cool. It's been a while since I've toured with a rapper. I have free time, I'll do it. So I said yes at first. And we went to rehearsals. I rehearsed with the band. Shit was cool. Got cool with everybody. Pretty much figured out what my place was going to be within the band. Meaning, as they were performing the songs, I needed to figure out like what sounds I was going to scratch and how to fit in a tasteful way. So I did that first rehearsal. Then the next day, we were going to rehearse with Jay. And the thing about it is, as I referenced earlier, when I was DJing for Ak, we used to tour with Jay-Z. So we all know each other. Now, I'm not going to say that Jay-Z was my fucking best friend. But we all knew each other. We'd eat together. We'd interact together. We would do sound check together. So I remember it's the second day of rehearsals. I'm there with the band. Jay-Z walks in, and let's just say, here's the door to the studio, here's a couch, and then right here is the stage, like the little studio stage where the band is, and I'm sitting up there with them. He walks in, looks at us, and goes, and then sits down and watches us run through the set. So I'm like, this is some bullshit. Like, how are you not walking to the stage and like acknowledging your band members and being like, yo, what's up? As soon as he did that shit, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that shit. So he sits down and he's watching us do the show. and we run through the whole set. And I had my man with me, my boy Good Time. He's like my right hand man. Like we've been in bar fights together. He's my dude. Like if I'm ever in a dark alley, that's the dude I want with me. You know what I mean? So he was with
To
me.
help
and
you fight.
Right, exactly.
Okay, yeah,
right.
that means something different now.
Oh my God, he's so
Hello. You know what I'm saying? All right, go ahead.
Pause.
Yeah.
So he's sitting next to Jay and like hearing everything that Jay's saying about the band.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not within earshot of him. So I hear him talking to his manager or whoever the fuck it was, but I don't know what's being said. So we run through the set without him, and then he gets up and he walks up to the stage, turns around, so he turns his back to us, and he starts rehearsing the show that we just kind of like basically went through in front of him. So I'm like, this is some real bullshit, yo. Like, how are you walking onto the stage and not shaking everybody's hand and being like, yo, what's up? Thank you. Gets on stage, turns around, turns his back to us, and now we're doing the show with him. So I'm like, yeah, I can't do this shit, man. This shit isn't for me. So what really sealed the deal for me as far as like not wanting to do it, after me and my boy are going home, back to Queens. Yeah, me and my boy Good Time are going home. And I'm like, yo, what was he saying at this part? He was just like, he was saying to the manager, he needs the DJ, not Rob. He knows my fucking name. He asked me to be there. He was like, yeah, nah, I need the DJ to do this, and I need the DJ to do that. And when my boy told me that shit, I was like, yo, bro, I'm not doing this shit. There's no way I'm touring with a dude who's gonna refer to me as the DJ. You know what I'm saying?
I hope you learned.
So,
or anybody out there who learned lessons. Similar story. I used to be a Ciroc boy, and that was under Diddy's management. And it was a point in time where Diddy came to the radio station to do an interview with me, and I come on after DJ Clue. All right, so Clue comes on when Clue's ended his show. My show comes on right after Clue. So he comes in to do my show, but Clue is still there. So he spends like an hour and some change talking to Clue, and then about 5 minutes talking to me. Whoa. I'm a Ciroc boy. You understand what I'm saying? So in my mind, I'm like, this is crazy that, you know, and he didn't even mention my name one time. You understand? So similar, like the record rep that was there, who's my friend, he said, yo, he didn't even know your name. He asked you, what's the DJ name again? And I said, this is crazy. I'm a Ciroc boy. I've been a Ciroc boy for like 3-4 years.
That's crazy.
And he didn't even know, you know, and you come in to see me to do an interview. Yeah. You understand? But then you talk to, even though I know him and Clue got history, whatever. So then I meet 50, you know, and 50 had this thing called Effin' Vodka. And he asked me to be down, and I was like, you know, I'm with Ciroc, you know, and my term ended. So I said, you know what, let me talk to Diddy to you know, just have a conversation. So I had to call somebody, somebody had to call somebody to talk to Diddy.
Yeah.
I said, yo, this is crazy. I got to talk to 4 different people, and I could just talk directly to 50.
Right.
Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Here's,
and it was less money too, but I didn't care. It's like, yo, the relationship. You understand?
In 2021, I DJ'd for LL Cool J at Central Park. It was this huge outdoor festival that CNN was hosting, and it was like I forgot the way they titled it, the way they billed it. It was like Welcome Home New York, some shit. It was right after the pandemic lockdown ended, and it was in Central Park. Yo, there had to be like 30,000 people there, probably more. You could watch it on YouTube. And LL Cool J's DJ is Z-Trip.
Z-Trip.
But Z-Trip couldn't make it. And Z-Trip was like, yo, you should get Rob Swift to do it for you. So Z-Trip hit me up. Yo, LL said, cool, you know, he'll fucking rock with you, or you'll rock with him, I should say. And here's the information. These are the songs, yada, yada, yada. Get to the rehearsals. I'm up on the turntables. setting my shit up, the rehearsals were at Central Park before the event. It was like the day before the event. So I'm like on stage setting shit up with the band, and I hear Rob Swift. Turn around, LL Cool J.
LL Cool J.
That's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? Went up to me, Rob, thank you, bro. Thank you for doing this, man. Z-Trip couldn't do it. That's how you fucking do it. I was like, bro. See, a dude like that, a rapper like that, you'll fucking run through a wall for. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like they're showing you that they don't see you as a subordinate.
Right.
They see you as an equal person on this stage contributing to what's happening in front of this audience. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I get it. Jay-Z's on another planet. I understand that shit, right?
You still
but it's like,
there.
nah, bro.
No.
Like, nah, dude, I'm not some...
It's respect.
Yeah, right. It's respect, man. So that's something for DJs out there, man. I always...
Well, for artists, I think they should learn how to
Word.
to
He says
build
the same
better
thing about
relationships. I
artists.
always say that
Word.
with DJs, and I love that you gave LL his flowers. I want to give him his flowers too. I haven't had a chance to talk to him after this. I have a similar situation where he just came out with an album, and the label was like, "Could you really play?" And I listened to it, and I was like, "He got a break at the end of his single, right? It's like a DJ type break." So I started DJing and playing it. So the label said, "Can you record you doing that?" So I recorded it. I said, "LL really likes it," you know. So I was like, "Oh, tell him to come up to my show at the radio station." So the next day he winds up coming to the Breakfast Club. So I'm like, damn, like I'm up here, you know, playing the record every night, but you can go to the Breakfast Club. So I saw him at Fat Man Scoop's celebration.
Oh, word.
Right, he was there.
That's right.
So I said, yo,
he was in the balcony, I remember.
Yeah, so he's like, Self, what's up? Thank you for thank you for playing my record. I like how you scratch. You know, he said everything. And I said, the thank you is great, but I really want you to come to my show. What time you want me to come to your show? I said, what time can you come? I'll come tomorrow. 10 o'clock. He came 10 o'clock by himself.
Damn.
No security,
Yeah.
no nothing.
That's dope.
By himself and stayed.
And L's on a different planet.
Yeah, and
too.
I'm like, hold on.
Yeah, he's on his own planet as well. But he's not...
Came by himself.
Right,
Yeah,
but he's
came
not
by
on
himself.
that.
You didn't invite me to that one, but
He came by himself. Came by himself. Yeah, and I was like, wow. He stood and somebody cooked food. He ate the food with the person. Like, you know, the regular, somebody was cooking food. Like, no chef, not like a regular
That's dope.
person ate food.
That's dope.
Gave them a promo. Yo, this food is good. Everything. I said,
Wow.
oh,
That's
okay, yeah.
Yo.
So I want to give him his flowers also.
And Ak was that way with me. And to bring it back to you asking me that question, Bianca, what it was like DJing for Ak, that experience was amazing, man. And Ak helped me understand how a rapper should interact with his DJ and how a DJ should interact with his rapper. Not that corny, you know, I'm the rapper and I'm the main dude and it's all about me type bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah. That experience was amazing, man. And if I had to do it all over again, I would.
Well, I want to touch on your book now. So it's already out. The City of Hip Hop, New York City, the Bronx, and a Peace Meeting.
Right.
So that kind of dives into hip hop. We've been hearing about, you know, hip hop celebrations for the last 2 years since its 50th birthday, but it's usually the glitz and the glamour. So this book has a different POV. It's more focused on the social economic status. So tell us about it.
So, man, what made me want to write the book was in September 2022, I started realizing that there was this weird narrative being circulated around hip hop belonging to black people, that hip hop was strictly black culture. And it bothered me because,
Do I need to call Lord Jamal?
oh man, that dude. That dude.
Do I need to call the Lord? No, go ahead.
I mean, you can, and I would debate him on anything that I'm talking about right now,
Okay.
anywhere, any time of day,
Got you.
without worry. I just feel like if you look at me, Bianca or Self, right? What would you assume, race-wise, that I am?
To be super honest,
Like if I didn't open my mouth and talk, because I know I got like an accent,
just
right?
be super honest. You look like Caribbean-ish. That could be Cuban-ish, something like that. But and pause because of your features. I didn't look at you as black, Panamanian, something like a darker Latin, darker Latin. What you call it? Because of the beard and here. I'm just being honest with you. Like
I think the ordinary person would associate you with being a black man.
The ordinary person would be like, that's a black kid, right? So my thing is, I've always identified with being black, but my parents were born in Colombia, South America.
Okay.
My father immigrated to New York City in 1969, then sent from my mom.
So Panama was wrong.
I'm sorry?
Panama was
Close
wrong.
enough, though.
Okay.
Because Colombia and Panama are basically right there.
Oh, okay.
My father then sent from my mom in 1971, and they had me here in New York City in 1972.
Okay.
So growing up as a kid, I've always identified with being black. And so when these narratives started coming out in like 2022, September-ish, talking about if you're not born in America and your lineage is not slavery, you're not black, and hip hop doesn't belong to you, and you're a culture vulture, that shit just had me like twisted, like, what's going on and why are we having this conversation now? Because I'm sure you, Bianca, and you, Self, used to be the editor for XXL, right? And you've been DJing for how long?
My whole life.
Your whole life, right? Same here. I can't speak for you guys, but I'm gonna assume that up until the last 2 or 3 years, the conversation of whether or not Latinos and other races belonged in hip hop wasn't a thing. Like, I don't recall there being these debates about hip hop belonging to one race, i.e. the black race.
Are you talking about Lord Jamal, or are you just talking about period?
Period.
I think there have been conversations like that.
I don't know if anybody says belong. I think that the conversation is who created it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about belonging. Like, I was seeing shit on Twitter like, this isn't your race, you filthy Latino. Like, I was reading shit like that directed at me on Twitter. This isn't your culture, you culture vulture.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you can't say because 1, 2, 3 people or 10% of people. I've never heard or anybody saying that that Latinos don't belong. Maybe I've heard that Latinos didn't create.
Yeah, I was
hip-hop.
I was reading on Twitter directed at me
Okay.
that I was a culture vulture.
But that's one person.
No, not one person. Bro.
Okay.
For a whole year from 2022.
Would you have a Colombian shirt on or something?
No, I would just tell people I was Colombian.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not ashamed of being Colombian. I rep my...
I did not know you, but
Yeah.
you have features of a Latin man.
Yeah.
I'm just being,
No.
I've learned how to.
I rep
by
my...
being a DJ, I'm like, all right, these are Spanish people here.
Yeah. I rep my Colombian heritage just as hard as I rep being black. You know what I'm saying?
He's so stupid. But did you hear the beat that he just did?
Oh, but the salsa?
Yeah. That's my
So, but yo, the thing is, you're from the Caribbean?
No,
Where are you from?
straight nigga.
Oh my God! Don't say it like that.
So you're really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was
Africano.
looking you up before I got here. And
Yeah,
it
you
says that
did.
you have Caribbean ancestry.
I don't know where that came from.
It also says he's 35. Yeah.
I don't know why. Nah.
Yeah,
It
so
does say
Growing
that.
up,
It
growing
does
up,
say that
it does
online.
say sad.
it does, right?
It does. It does.
Growing up,
It does.
right? Growing up, my neighborhood, when reggae music came up, oh, get this shit out of here. We want to get out of here. So
Nah, so here's the thing, right? Like,
Okay.
when you're reading on Twitter a user that couldn't tell you who Rocksteady is or who Chuck Chillout is or who Tracy 168 is.
I don't know who that is. Can you help me who Tracy?
Tracy 168 is he originated wild style lettering.
Oh, okay, a graffiti art. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So when you have someone that doesn't know the culture in that way, but is telling you that you're Latino filth and that you're a culture vulture and that you're stealing from black people.
So why do you care?
I care because I'm a professor, I'm a teacher, right? And I was concerned that my students that weren't black would not feel a part of DJ culture. Because at the end of the day...
Hip-hop culture or DJ culture?
Well, I teach DJ.
Brolic Arm Academy, right?
Yeah, Brolic Army, DJ school.
Brolic Army
yeah,
Academy.
Yeah, but it's an academy too. And I just felt like DJing being as though it's an element of hip-hop, I didn't want my students to feel like they weren't a part of this. Because hip-hop doesn't belong to someone because of the color of their skin or the origin of where they were born. Hip-hop belongs to those who practice it. You feel me?
Yeah, I'll let you finish.
No, so in reading that, I was just like, yo, I need to correct this fucking narrative that's going on. So for like a year, bro, from like 2022 September through August 11th, 1973, I spent that whole year online having these crazy debates with people about who hip hop belonged to. Not that it wasn't created by black youth, because when it comes to DJing, when it comes to rap, hands down, black youth created that. But can't nobody tell me.
Hip-hop DJing.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
hip-hop DJing,
Yeah,
yes, to be specific, right? Scratching, beat
Scratching
juggling,
is
right. But DJing existed before
Before, yeah.
Flash, before Bam,
100%,
before her.
yes.
But can't nobody tell me that there weren't other races helping build and create b-boying, breaking. You can't tell me that there weren't other races helping build and create graffiti, which are two elements of hip-hop.
Well, build and creating is, I think that's kind of like,
Same thing. to
okay,
me.
what do you say to someone that's black that says, damn, we can't have anything for ourselves. Everyone takes something from us. Not just Latino people, just period. Whereas a country people, black people try to get to country music, they shun them out. A black person may try to make a reggaeton song, shun them out. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like when black people try to enter something else, they won't let them enter. Other races. Other races keep their keep their heritage or the roots of their music or something tight. But when it comes to black youth, it's like, a black person may say, I'm just supposed to have open arms.
Damn, I'm looking up this song right now. Do you guys have Wi-Fi here?
Yeah.
Is the Wi-Fi like weird?
Yeah, it's real. What you mean?
It is?
What's the
It is?
song?
Hold on. You could play it there?
I can't play anything because it's.
Oh, you can't play anything?
No.
You can't. All right,
We'll get a copyright strike.
All right. No,
Okay.
forget it. So then I'll just explain it this way. Let's talk about it, right? There's a song called Big Beat by an artist named Billy Squire.
I got the boom, boom, boom.
What genre of music is that?
Isn't that rock and roll?
And the artist, what?
It's a white guy.
It's a white guy. So it's a rock song, and the artist is a white artist. He's a guitar player. His name's Billy Squire. Earlier in our interview, I referenced Here We Go by Run DMC, and the part where Jam Master Jay is scratching a song and it skips on him, and DMC keeps rapping, right? The song that skips is
Big
Billy
Beat.
Squire's Big Beat.
But hold on, God. Again,
So my point real quick is this before you bombard me with your.
No, because you know why?
Wait, no,
because
this is my point. This is my point.
Because
Hold on.
Bianca and people like Bianca.
But let me just
okay.
say. Let me just say this.
Go ahead.
Let me just say this. So you're saying, what about the black people that are like, yeah, but we have nothing to call our own. Like, people are taking from us. Run DMC took from Billy Squier. That's what hip hop is.
Let me say this to you. The part of the Big B song you're talking about is the drums part.
Right.
It's not the song, it's the breakdown of the drums part. So it's only a piece of the song, which is the drums part, which a lot of people say drums are usually like come from Africa, right?
Right.
So it's
Moving
not
the goalpost. They moved the goalpost.
No, I'm not
That's
just
what they
saying.
did.
I'm just saying to you, like, because what you're saying is we took, or they took from
Big
the
beat.
rock and roll song, but it took just the break part of the song,
So what
not the whole song.
Right. So what I would
Okay.
say to that is, if you listen to Here We Go, there are parts where you hear Billy Squier's voice.
Yeah, because Jam SJ wasn't that
Right.
quick enough to
Right, exactly. So
but
you
he
hear
didn't
his
want
voice.
that part.
And what I will say is, let's just say that Capitol Records never manufactured Tale of the Tape, which is the name of the album that Big Beat is on.
Mm-hmm.
That album never existed. We wouldn't have Here We Go.
Yeah, but that's one song.
Okay, I'll give you another song.
And Run DMC.
All right, I'll give you another
Run
song.
DMC is, I would say, generation 2 or 3 of hip hop.
Okay.
Would you say that?
Okay.
So hip hop existed
Well,
before.
are we talking about hip hop when records are being made, or
Hip hop. We're talking about hip hop.
Okay, great. All right, cool.
Because we're talking about the creation
Got
of
you.
hip hop.
Got you. Okay, so do you know what the hip hop anthem is? In the eyes of a Grandmaster Flash, Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa?
What would be the hip hop anthem?
Or one of let's say 3. There are different anthems.
This is how I feel. A lot of times, I feel people who are were from the 70s and the 80s
Mm-hmm.
is you can't let it go. And when I say let it go, it's like, yo, that was back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
New people creative history.
But
It's new
hip-hop
history now.
When hip hop was created, because we have to pay homage to when it started,
Yes.
or else we wouldn't be here, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when hip hop was created, could you name, or do you know of a anthem?
I wouldn't know what because I wasn't around, but I
Okay.
probably would know the song.
Okay, all right, so I'll give you a few
Okay.
anthems. One anthem was Heaven and Hell.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Children
Growing,
playing,
women
women
producing.
producing, men go working, some go stealing. Everybody's got to make a living. Then they would transition into big beat. Boom, 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 boom. Then they would play Children Playing again, and that's a hip hop anthem.
Okay.
The people that I was having these crazy debates and arguments with online would say shit like, yeah, but hip hop is Black American music. There were no steel bands in hip hop, no Caribbeans. What do you talk about? Kool Herc and Jamaican toasting and all that shit, right? That's the kind of shit that they would say or throw back at you, right? Heaven and Hell, the group is called 20th Century Steel Band. They were a steel band. You know what I'm talking about, right? They were a steel band. That's a hip hop anthem. So you have a group of people online, weirdos, to be honest with you.
I think
so, wait, real
you
quick,
harbored
hold on.
over like a couple people who one or two people.
It's not, bro.
Okay.
Bro, it's not one or two. This
No,
is
that's
this is
been a
movement.
conversation that does happen.
This is a movement. Otherwise we wouldn't be talking. If
No,
it was
it
one or
has.
two people, we would not be talking about this
Okay.
right now, and that book wouldn't exist.
Okay.
So you're saying, not you, but these people
Yeah, I
are
got you.
saying that Caribbeans had nothing to do with hip hop, but a song by a Caribbean band, Trinidadian to be exact, contributed to one of the hip hop anthems. You go to a Grandmaster Flash event right now, he's playing that song at some point. You ask Grandmaster Flash, name me a hip hop anthem. He's gonna say Heaven and Hell, and it's a Caribbean band. Kool Herc, his go-to song during the beginning era of hip hop, because we're talking about who created it, right? His go-to song was a song called The Mexican. The Mexican, right? The name of the group is called Babe Ruth, and they're British. It's a white band, right? So my point is that how could anyone argue hip hop is black music when you have this amalgamation of different songs being played when hip hop was being created? Hip hop wasn't built on just R&B, just soul. It was a variety, a plethora of genres being played at park jams, house parties, whether it was James Brown, who's obviously a soul singer, or Babe Ruth, a British rock band, or Take Me to Mardi Gras, a white jazz artist. You had DJs not segregating music according to whether or not the artist was black or not. Yo, is this shit dope? Is it gonna make people dance? That's all you cared about. And this is the mindset that went into the creation of hip hop. And that's what I talk about in the book. And I felt the book was important because we're so disconnected from the roots of this culture that now people think hip hop is a guy rapping. And naturally, the majority of rappers are black. So if you're attributing the wider culture to this aesthetic of a black rapper, you're really missing out on what the culture is about.
Or maybe you confusing what people are talking about. You said two different things in your conversation. You said hip hop, then you said rapping. You understand?
Right.
So hip hop and rapping.
Two different things.
Yes. Well, not too different, because rapping to me is a part of hip hop.
Right. Hip hop is the culture. Rapping is an element
so
of the culture.
I think that, exactly. So I think that the confusion you may be thinking about is, okay, Heaven and Hell is not a rap song.
Nope.
Right? So maybe whoever's talking about, rapping itself, rapping, maybe they may feel like the rapping part.
They're conflating hip hop to this one element.
The rap part.
Right. And it's not that.
But I think what happened in modern times is when you think of hip hop, it's only about rapping,
That's the problem.
Yeah, not the graffiti, not the dancing, not the DJing. Like all those became a backseat to the part of the rapping element. So
Well
it could
said.
be a confusion.
It's not. It could. It is.
Okay,
It's a
confusion.
confusion.
Yes.
It's a confusion. People are conflating rapping with hip hop, and hip hop is the culture, and that's what the book argues. That's what the book interrogates. And then on top of that, my thing is this. A lot of people like to say, like, well, the first rappers were black, or the first DJs were black. And this is true. DJs in terms of hip hop.
Hip hop, yes.
Right? And this is true. Grandmaster Flash is black. Africa Bambaataa is black. But the thing is they have Caribbean lineage.
Backgrounds.
You see what I'm saying? So then if DJing is a part of hip hop, are they not black anymore because they have Caribbean lineage?
But we still confusing Bianca's and Bianca likes, because I don't think that people are talking about hip hop. They may be talking about rapping.
But they're convinced that they're talking about hip hop, and this is the problem.
Yes. So do you comprehend?
Of course I do. I've seen the conversation happen.
No, I'm saying, do you comprehend what we're discussing?
Yes.
Whereas the
Bianca gets it.
the confusion I think is that when someone says hip hop, maybe them saying hip hop, they may be meaning just the rapping part of hip hop, not hip hop in a total.
Cultural.
Not as a cultural, yeah.
Right. In the cultural
That's
sense.
what it could be.
It's
I
not
wasn't
could,
there.
it is.
Okay, I wasn't there, so I don't know. I can't tell you who was here, who created. I wasn't there. You understand?
But yo, with that, I have an issue with that whole argument.
Okay,
that
that's
a lot
fine.
of the legends make. They'll say, "Well, you weren't there, so who are you to talk about the beginnings and how this whole thing started?" And my response to that is, nah, I was a kid, right? So I wasn't at the park jams in the Bronx. But I can go back and do my research.
I disagree. Why I disagree? Because your research is only an interpretation of a person. You can leave here today and say, yo, Self kept fucking everything I say. He come back me. He's over talking me. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And I could say I had a great time. I talked to a fucking DJ. I had a DJ that when you left here, I told him, yo, I want to talk for another hour because I don't get to talk to DJs.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Right.
You could leave here and say this fucking dickhead Self. Everything I'm
Nah, I
telling
wouldn't say
him.
that.
I'm just giving you an example.
I think
so.
though-
It's an interpretation.
Right.
It's an interpretation of a person.
And the book doesn't come from just one source.
Okay.
So I've spoken to Grand Mixer DST, who's a first generation B-boy breaker. I've talked to Grounds of Theodore. He's come to my house. We've sat this far from each other and have had 2-3 hour long conversations about DJing and how it got started. I've spoken to Jazzy J. I've spoken to Tony Tone. I've spoken to Joe Conzo. Joe Conzo is Puerto Rican and basically is credited for being the first photographer in hip hop. The guy that documented that first 10 years. And he's Puerto Rican. So as a side note, it's funny to say that Latinos weren't around or a part of the culture when if you Google hip hop 1970s, 90% of the pictures that come up on your phone or your laptop or your desktop computer are going to belong to Joe Conzo, a Puerto Rican.
There were a lot of Puerto Ricans involved in the very beginning.
Right, totally. So who else have I talked to? I've talked to Johnny Juice, who was the Ghost Scratcher for Terminator X, the first two Public Enemy albums.
What you mean Ghost Scratcher?
I'm sorry, I said Ghost Rider, Ghost Scratcher.
Yeah, what you mean by you said Ghost Scratcher? You
I
said
did?
it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I mean by Ghost Scratcher is
That Terminator X was on the stage faking like he was
not
DJ.
the stage, in the studio.
But I'm saying when he was on stage, he was actually doing the scratches.
I
Or
don't-
was it that? Because you said that was impossible.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
You said that was
what I'm
impossible. That's what
saying
you
is-
said, Rob.
What I'm saying
Rob,
is,
you said that was impossible.
he'd make a good lawyer.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I was going to tell him that after this.
What I'm saying
You
is,
told me that was impossible. That's what you
Johnny
said.
Juice scratched in the studio on the first two albums, and the person that got the credit was
Terminator X.
Yeah.
Okay.
He grew up.
So you say
in the
Terminator X
Bronx.
can't do those scratches? You saying?
Not Johnny Juice's scratches.
Oh, he can't.
Not
Okay.
Johnny Juice's.
Okay,
no.
okay.
But respect to Terminator X.
Don't be getting him in trouble, please. Thank you.
Johnny Juice was there in the Bronx, seeing it all fucking happen, right? So I've talked to more than one source with regards to my knowledge, my historical background, understanding of what this culture is. I also have the audio tapes,
Okay.
right? I'm not just this guy that started DJing in 1983. I also collect a lot of the resources, a lot of our hip hop memorabilia in mixtapes, flyers. I have a lot of that shit at home. Wish I would have brought it with me. I didn't think to.
We'll
So-
have you back.
Yeah. So
I wish you
'cause
didn't
he-
because she would be mad that I would collect
I would have
it.
probably left some stuff here.
Oh my God, please, we don't
Yeah,
need
she
more.
gets upset.
But the overall point that I'm trying to make is that I'm a student and historian of this culture, right? I don't just DJ. You know, like I really go into the history of this art. And so if I'm getting different perspectives from different sources and then connecting the dots, that's what a historian does, right? Someone that's doing background research on World War II, you talk to different people and then you make sense out of the information that you're getting. And that's what I did for the book. So I'm not writing from the perspective of one practitioner from the 1970s. I've talked to many, and not just DJs. So, like, I think considering I'm able to discern and take information, filter it, make sense, and connect the dots, for me, the city of hip hop is an unbiased take on what events catalyzed this culture. For me, the Bronx was like a petri dish.
Okay.
And the borough itself contained, or this petri dish contained, all these different factors in it that created the space for hip hop to become. So I don't like talking about hip hop from the perspective of the black race, because if that's the case, why didn't hip hop start in Mississippi or Atlanta, Georgia, or South Carolina? Why the Bronx? Is it a coincidence that there were Puerto Ricans there in the Bronx? You know what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with the creation and the element of b-boying in hip hop. That has nothing to do with graffiti writers. Like, you gotta look past.
What if somebody say, Mississippi, or we used to North Carolina?
Yeah,
a
why
lot of
didn't-
people migrated up to New York, like so they were originally from Mississippi or North Carolina.
Puerto Ricans migrated to New York too.
100%. I'm not saying that what you're saying is false.
I know
Okay.
you're not. I
wasn't there.
I appreciate you playing devil's advocate.
Yes, 100%.
Because it gives me the opportunity to
say
yeah, right, exactly. So it's like, yes, Southern black people immigrated to New York City, but my dad immigrated to New York City in 1969 from Colombia. There was a great migration into New York from Central America, South America, the Caribbean. Herc, the guy that's credited as being the father of hip-hop.
Why you use that word credited?
Credited because me personally, I don't necessarily think that one person created hip hop.
Gotcha.
I think it's silly to say that. I think hip hop grew over time, over a period of time. One party did not give birth to this complicated, complex, intricate culture. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not taking anything away from Kool Herc, obviously. I have immense respect for the guy. But Kool Herc was not a rapper. And he wasn't necessarily, I'm trying to figure out like a tactful way of saying this, he wasn't necessarily the best DJ. Like, Kool Herc didn't create the techniques that I employ, for example, or I teach my students. That goes to Flash. And Flash didn't come till about 3-4 years after Herc. So it's like, how can you say one DJ created hip hop when there were others that came after her that made their contributions as well? So that's why when I say people credit Herc as being the father of hip hop, I word it in that way because it's like, that's the consensus amongst hip hop heads, but I try to look at it from a different perspective.
Okay.
When does something start? When is something created? With regards to breaking, for example, let's say this is a club and the DJ's playing James Brown and you go down and do a split. And then a month later, I go down and do a split and then do a helicopter move, like with my hands on the ground and my right leg is like sweeping under my body, right? I do a helicopter move. And then a year later, Bianca's there and she does a split, a helicopter move, and then a backspin. And then 2 years after that, homeboy over here, what's your name? Glenn, 2 years after Bianca does those 3 moves, then Glenn comes and does a knee spin on top of those moves. So it's like the dance is evolving year after year after year after year. And then there comes a point where, we have our dance. It's complete. This is the lexicon of the dance. This is the language. These are the moves. These are the names. Then you have your dance and it's called breaking. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like with hip hop, we get so caught up with creating one person for things that really took multiple people to create and establish.
Let me ask you the last question. Right, I could talk all day to DJs. I've never talked this long to anybody. I'm just letting you know that. For it's a fact.
Right.
God forbid, and this is not wishing anything. This is just a question that I would, because one of my dear friends of DJs passed, and the other two I knew in passing. The two in passing I knew in passing was Fat Man Scoop and
R.I.P.
and Clark Kent.
R.I.P.
My dear friend, Mr. C.
R.I.P.
If not wishing anything, something happened, whatever, down the line, 49, 50 million years from now, you pass. Dead or alive, what DJ would you want to have speak at your funeral and why?
Dr. Butcher.
Dr. Butcher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, man, we're here passing by, man, right? And we're all going to go. And I've thought about that, actually. That's a great question. I've thought a lot about that, especially considering the people we've lost this year. I would want Dr. Butcher to talk about me because he saw me grow from a DJ that was just copying people and biting.
You was a beat biter?
I was
Okay.
a huge biter.
Okay.
In my head, before I met Dr. Butcher, I thought that if I can do what the DJs that I looked up to did, I was dope.
Okay.
That was my mentality.
That's
so,
all DJs though.
Right,
Okay.
right, exactly. So if I saw someone do something at a show, I'd be at Irving Plaza, 16 years old with my older brother, seeing Cash Money and Marvelous from Philly, cutting it up. I'd like record in my head because obviously we didn't have smartphones back then, and I would just record everything that Cash Money did on that stage, run to the record store the next day, buy the records that he used, and then race back home and practice everything that I remember Cash doing. And then once I learned it in my head, I'd be like, I'm dope. And I remember when I met Dr. Butcher, being at his house for the first time, showing him that I can do what Steve D did in the 1990 New Music Seminar Battle, showing him that I can do what Cash Money did in the 1988 World DMC Finals. I got off his set thinking, mission accomplished. I impressed this dude. And I remember he got on and did all original shit. And on top of that, he was just better because he was authentic. He wasn't copying. And I remember Drew was like, Rob, you're good, really good, but at copying. I'm going to teach you how to tap into your own personal
come up with your own stuff.
creativity and come up with your own shit. And so he saw the growth from this young DJ that just wanted to be like his idols to the person that I am now, right? And so I think Drew, Dr. Butcher, man, would be the perfect person to give my eulogy at my funeral.
Dr. Butcher.
Dr. Butcher. Word. Also, I got to say this real quick about Clark Kent. Yo, Clark was a blessing upon us and upon me specifically, man. I remember when he was the A&R at East West Records, he would invite me and Rock Raider to his office. And this was when, rest in peace, Rock Raider, obviously a lot of people know he passed away in 2009. But when Raider was alive and we used to just enter these DJ battles and just fucking tear new assholes and dudes, we used to think that we were just the shit, right? And the only thing that mattered to us was being better than everybody. And I remember Clark would invite us to his office and sit us down and be like, yo, fellas, there's more to this shit than being nice. Like, get your business together and learn how to turn your passion into profit. And if it wasn't for those talks that we had at Clark's office in the city at East West Records, I don't think that I would have my own business right now or have had the foresight to write a book and create myself as a brand. You know what I'm saying? So Clark, man, I miss you, bro. And yeah, I'm glad I got to tell him that. I spoke to him like a couple of months before he passed away. He called me, and yeah, man, I got to share that with him in person. So Clark Kent is probably the second person I'd want to talk about me.
I'm always say to myself, Dag, I fought myself because everybody has like so much great stories about Clark, and I'm like, Dag, me and him never really interacted like that, like, you know, like
He was amazing, dude.
yeah, like you know, he had a book bag one time, the To Me Clark Kent book bag, and I wound up purchasing it, and I called him. He said, "Yo, make a thing, you know, make a video, stuff like that." But we never really was like like that. See, me and it's like 3 years prior to him passing, we used to speak 3-4 times a week. He was like my OG, telling me different things. So some of the stuff that your mind is.
We all have those mentors,
Yes.
those DJ mentors that guide us. And Clark was that for me. Although he was in a rival crew, the Supermen, and I was a part of the X-Men, I realized
And I heard y'all created X-Men because
to battle
of
the Superman.
Superman.
Yeah, we literally wanted to compete against the Superman. But now I realized that all that shit didn't matter. And what mattered was us figuring out ways to take our talent to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And own our brands. And Clark was big on that. And he really helped me understand the importance of it. So I miss that dude, man. And to this day, I still bug out that he's not with us anymore. But his lessons are infinite. And yeah, man. Rest in peace, Clark.
How
Kent.
did the Executioners come up?
Executioners, real quick, basically was just an extension of the X-Men. When we signed our record label deal in 1997.
I remember having a record. That's all.
Yeah. We had to change the name because the lawyers of the label were like, "You guys are gonna get sued if you don't change the name," and that's how it became the Executioners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They had a record deal.
I know.
Word.
Okay. This is like hip hop here.
I know. We have to have
Can you
him
shout
back.
out the book?
And now we have a book from record deals
Out
to
now.
books. The City of Hip Hop, New York City, the Bronx, and a peace meeting. This whole hip hop shit, man, at the end of the day, at its core, it's a culture that was created to escape the violence that Bronx youth were experiencing in the 1970s, man. So when I see violence on the internet towards each other in the name of hip hop, that shit bothers me, man. So it's important that people read the book and school themselves on this culture and how it got started, because there's more to this shit than a dude picking up a mic and rapping. Word.
Absolutely.
Apartment 5H, baby.
Peace.
Rob Swift, get busy. Hello.
Buy turntables.